Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there, you gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew their glorious past, if that people knew their glorious past, if that people knew their glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter, make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted, because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage, we are. This is Manifestations 2020.
Manifestation. Man up. Manifestation.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
All right. Welcome back to another week of Manifestations 2020. I am Anthony Malcolm, and that is Major Gage. Bobby Drake will be joining us shortly, and we have the wonderful TANESHA Rose, our special guest for the night. That, as you guys already know, we are going to be talking about the importance of educational childhood development and why is it so critical, key aspect in our society that we have to get back to. I think we're losing a lot of focus, and it's causing difficult interactions with the teacher to the parent. And when we have that disconnect from teacher to parent, it causes the child to play both sides. And we see that same dynamic when it comes to parents inside the household as well. If you don't have if they're both parents, the mother and the father are not on the same page, the child gets to manipulate both sides and use their weakness of the disconnect from each other and play against them in their favor, for the child's favor. So we definitely want to dial down deep into that tonight. And I'm so grateful that our guest, TANESHA Rose, has definitely stepped up to the plate, because it's not easy for people to come out here and talk about something that's so critical. And we're living in a society where it's real touchy-feely when it comes to certain things like that. A lot of people are scared to enter this realm and this space because they have the fear that it might be taken to another level when it comes to their job. So I'm very appreciative of TANESHA for stepping up to the plate and saying, you know what, I'm going to do it. I think it's much needed. I think there's a lot of things we need to address so you guys can have the life of your children to be a lot better than the situation that they're in now. So with no further ado, I'll let Miss Rose introduce herself and tell you her educational background and what she do as far as in the educational field. So Miss Rose, you have the floor.
Thank you guys for having me. My name is TANESHA Rose. I'm an assistant director / lead 3-year-old teacher, but my at Next Generation Academy in Daytona Beach, Florida. We start from 11 months to 5 years. So I kind of work with 11 months to 5 years, all of them. Basically, I've been doing childcare now for about 16 years. It's something that I love to do. I love kids. I have 4 kids of my own. So that's kind of how I got in that field, because trying to work and take care of kids, it was kind of hard to keep a job because kids get sick and you got to call off and this and that. So I just decided to go ahead and get my my childhood certifications. And so that's how I landed in the field of childcare.
Oh, okay, cool. So a lot of people don't really know the real elements of what you do. So I do want to just go through some things real quick, and then we can flip it back to you and you can dial in a little bit deeper with it. So tonight's, as you guys know, tonight's topic is educational childhood development. So what that entails is basically it's the early childhood education, and is the focus on the critical development milestones, skills, and concepts that children attain during the period of their lives, from social, emotional skills to the beginnings of numeracy, literacy, and critical thinking. I did want to run through some of these real quick. The next thing that we have is the significance and the benefits of early childhood education. Not only can educators encourage child's development, but they can also help to monitor or screen for learning disorders, developmental disabilities, and exceptionalities. And we'll definitely talk about that more because that's very critical. What is the early childhood development defined in the field of education as development? Early childhood, particularly in the first 5 years of life, impacts long-term social, cognitive, emotional, and physical development. Healthy development in the early childhood helps prepare children for the educational experience of kindergarten and beyond. We also have, what is the development in the childhood education? Childhood development incorporates physical growth as well as intellectual, language, emotional, and social development. The aspects are often considered separable. In reality, each influences all of the others. For example, the brain develops physical, so the intellect ability increases. We also have, what are the elements of early childhood education? The document identifies and articulates the characteristics of 5 key elements that are fundamental to achieving high quality experiences of strong outcomes to the preschool children: the learning environment, the daily routine, the adult-child relationship, teaching practices, and family engagement. And the last one we have here for you is, what is the most influence on child development? And that is early development will be mostly significantly influenced by nurturing qualities of the environment, parents, caregivers, family, and community where children are nurtured, live, and learn. A child is living, growing organism. The child has a biological base and develops in a social setting. All right, so I definitely want to turn that back over to you. I know some of those topics definitely you can touch more bases with. I know when it comes to what you do, one of the critical bases is identifying some disorders. And I think a lot of children are coming into school and not being tested for any disabilities and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm just going to turn it over to you and you can elaborate more on what you've been seeing and things that we need to know as well.
Okay. So to first state, I like to refer to myself not as a babysitter, because most parents look at us as, oh, I'm dropping my child off because they gotta work, and it's just we're just supposed to be babysitters. And for me, that's not what we are there for. We are there to help your child and you, um, you know, your child in the early stages for like 11 months. So I have like some 11-month-olds that know their colors, their numbers. Like it starts there. It's like they're learning when it's repetitive. So if you constantly doing something or teaching a child something at that young of an age, they learn it that young of an age. But it's also, it has to continue at home. It just can't stay at the school. It has to, keep going. Far as I'm not a doctor, so I can't, say, hey, I think your child has this. But what we do have is a questionnaire called ASQs, and it's ages and stages questionnaire based off of what we on a daily basis with your child. What we learn from that is like, are they can they follow out simple directions? Like if I say, go put this in the trash, without me pointing, because I can't point, I can't tell them, but they have to just be able to follow simple directions. So that test basically gives myself and also the parent an idea of where your child is. And that test is that questionnaire is given at early on, so like 11 months, and then they get another one when they turn 1, and then another one like 18 months. So it's just to keep us aware of where your child at and the fields that we need to work on with the child. What was some of the other things? As far as I see a lot of kids nowadays where they be on the spectrum, and most parents don't want to hear when you tell them that their child is on the spectrum. I can't say, oh, your child has autism. I can't say that, but I can tell you that they're on the spectrum. It's just certain things that you'll know that, like, I've been doing it for 16 years. So certain things that kids do that makes us aware that, okay, something, ain't right, or we need to figure out what to do. And this overall, it's failing the kids because we don't, here in Daytona, we used to have a place that we can refer the kids to, but we don't really have a place like that no more. So if I'm in a setting with 3-year-olds, I can have up to 12 3-year-olds. And for me, if I have a child or two that needs that extra care, I can't just give them that extra care like that, because I have 10 other kids that I have to maintain. So I feel like that's a failure, that I can't, work with that child on that level, because some kids need that extra attention or that extra love. I mean, I try and I do my best at it, but again, if I'm working with that many kids, that's an issue. But overall, I mean, parents need to learn to be involved. They have to stop getting so defensive and like, just work with me and I'll work with you is my motto. So I give my 3-year-olds homework. Like they have homework because I want them to be prepared for VPK, because when they leave me, they go to VPK. VPK is right before kindergarten. So by the time they're in VPK, I need them to know how to spell their first and last name. I need them to know their birthdays, how old they are. If that child is on that level where I can move on to where they can probably learn their address and telephone number, I'm doing all of that. I'm just trying to get the kid where I would want my child to be as a parent. So I look at it like that. I love all my babies the same, and that's me though. You know, I can only speak for myself.
So I definitely want to go back to the point where you made that a lot of the parents are very defensive. What are some of the examples that you can give us of something like that? And does that run into the lane of accountability? A lot of parents don't want to take accountability. And what does a parent dynamic look like? Is it always the mother, or do you interact with fathers as well?
No, I interact with fathers. I have a couple single, fathers. Defensive. When I say defensive, it's just like, oh, well, at home, he or she does this. Everything always refer back. Well, when they home, I don't have that problem. Oh, he know how to spell his name, but I'm with your child most of the day. Like, it's like, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just telling you, this is what I'm working on, and this is what I'm not getting from your child. So can we work together? And hey, on the car ride over, just spell their name with them. Like little things like that. But parents just, like I said, they just get so defensive. I don't know why they want to do it for you because do it for me. It's just that that they just be on the defense. And then with telling them being on the spectrum, they don't want to hear that at all. Like, I don't know why, but it's like, okay, we do have places that we can refer them to that will try to get them some type of help or some type of, because we have like the elementary schools that you could possibly put your kid in at that age if they do see that something is going on with the child. But I can't do it. The parent have to do it.
But I think a lot of the defense comes from that part of it, is because people, they see themselves as defective. They see their child as defective. Everybody wants to be normal. Everybody wants to have the best child out there, the smartest child out there. But I think a lot of times we don't take a step backwards to really fix our child before it becomes too late. Because when we sit back and we let those little inabilities and disabilities ponder on to later stages, it becomes now into habits and inabilities and disabilities that they don't want to break away from, because now they see it as a part of their natural behavior. So right. What are some things that you think that parents, you would tell parents to do in order for them to actually have that real in-depth look within themselves to correct it for their children?
For me, I feel like most parents know, like even early on with taking your child to the doctor or, for doctor visits. Doctors back in my time, doctors, said, oh, at this age, your child should be doing this, this, and this. Is your child performing this or doing that? So for me, it's like if you see something, like don't be offensive. Like you said, take a step back and make that decision, because that decision is not for you, it's for your child. It's to better your child. So
no doubt. Listen, I just want to say off rip, thank you for your service. Yeah, real talk, because
I don't get that a lot.
listen to me. Let me tell you something if nobody else ain't told you. What you do is all important. You understand what I'm saying? Like the fact that you're even in the child care field and you're getting involved with children at such a young age, that is critical to the community. People don't realize that. I was talking to a healthcare worker earlier today, and I said that same thing to her. Thank you for your service. There are things we only look at the military, and we're like, and police officers, and we say thank you for your service, but we fail to realize how many other people serve the community with what they do. Mm-hmm. With what you're doing, you're serving the community in a major way, and I just want to thank you for it. I thank you for caring. It is a very important thing. Keep doing what you're doing, sister, because I the children are in danger. You know what I mean? That they're in serious danger, and a lot of that danger, strangely enough, comes from their parents in the form of what you just said, them being defensive and not acknowledging the issues that their children have and working with the care professional to help correct them before, you know, they get to a point where they're beyond correction or it's more difficult to correct them. You know what I mean? Like that is something that we as a group, as a whole, we have an issue with accountability as a collective. And that right there, what you just said is huge. You know what I mean? So I really hope that those things, you know, kind of work themselves out and get better for you going forward. And you're not having so much pushback and so many problems with the parents. But I truly understand what you're saying because I see examples of it all the time, but I see them later on.
Right.
These problem children in these videos that we put up and we've discussed on this show, that's how those things kind of rear their ugly heads going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And I just, you know, wanted to bring Tanesha on because I've known her for so long.
Right.
And she's actually been married from 1998 to currently to this day. So, you know, she's a powerful woman. She doesn't talk about it. She is about it. She has children that are excelling. You know, this woman is all around just a phenomenal woman. And I wanted the world to see that who she is and how she likes, you know, she breathes life into our children. And when you have people that breathe life into the children, they're actually breathing life into the community because these are the people that are the foundational structure that build the pioneers that come out of our community, the Dr. Kings and the Malcolm X's and these type of individuals. They're cultivated by that one teacher that took the time to, you know, breathe life into them, and they never forget those teachers at all. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, to bring her knowledge to the forefront so she can help the community because we haven't, like I said, there's a loss, there's a disconnect between teachers, educators, and the parents. And it becomes like rival gang members instead of being an olive branch of a family member, you know, because a lot of times, you know, these parents get so defensive that they end up being confrontational and violent in the same. And then you're being violent with somebody who's actually trying to help your child achieve greatness in life. It's the most asinine thing ever. I just can't put my hand around it. But I do want to say one thing. I have this, I know you go through this, so I want to show you this video, and then you can tell me if you have this issue. All right?
All right.
You apostrophe.
It's unique, and I'm here.
To Querdry.
Brad to Corey Andre.
Lua, Laha, La.
It's LaDasha.
Bauga.
Ex-Laundry Shiv.
Benjamin.
Bro, it's Benjamin.
Q1 Dial.
It's Quandale.
QU-ESH.
Qisha.
Placenta.
Placenta is present.
And they cut it off. They had two twins named Washer and Dryer. So I wanted to ask you that. Is that something that you encounter a lot when you have to do roll call with new students? Have you got some of the strangest names out there? And what, if you can, give us a name that is just off the wall for you when you first heard it?
LaDasha.
It's not so much I don't really have that issue with my students. I mean, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They parents, you know, I've had common names. It's just the spelling of how they spell some of the common names, but yeah.
Okay.
So I have an honesty, but it's spelled AH''NESTY. So it just
whoa.
it might be something like that.
Is it a little difficult for the child when they spell it different?
Yeah.
Is it difficult for
a
the
name
child?
like that? Me trying to teach that child to spell their name is just like, okay, yeah. Yeah. So I come up with like sounds like we're gonna clap, we're gonna try to, you know, give her a rhythm, like, you know, something.
Yeah.
But I had a Demonique. That's how it's spelled, but it was pronounced demonic. So it's, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Edgy. Okay.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey.
Definitely.
Colorful.
So I definitely want to look at some of the other charts that we have here for you real quick. I have a couple of them. Maybe you can break this down for us. So there's 6 stages of play. I didn't know that. Unoccupied play from 0 to 3 months. When a baby is making movements with their arms, legs, hands, feet, they are learning about, they're discovering how their body parts move. Solitary play, which is when a child plays alone and are not interested in playing with other quite as yet. Do you have some of those that are isolated in your class as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's normal to you. You don't look at it as not being antisocial.
No, not in the beginning. No.
Okay. The next one is spectator onlooker behavior for 2 years old, when a child watches and observes other children playing but will not play with them. You have those as well?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Parallel play, when a child plays alongside or near others but does not play with them. And the other one is associate play, when a child starts to interact with others during play, but there is not much cooperation required. For example, kids playing on the playground, but doing different things. And then cooperative play, when a child plays with others and has interest in both the activity and other children involved in playing.
Right.
All right, cool. So we have the stages of psychological development from infant to 18 months is a trust versus mistrust in the social crisis. That's what they mostly develop. 18 months to 3 years, autonomy versus shame and doubt. 3 to 5 years, initiative versus guilt. 5 to 13, industry versus inferiority. 13 to 21, identity versus role of confusion. 21 to 39, intimacy and isolation. And then the rest pretty much don't really need to get involved with. But I do want to talk about this. Major child development theory. So you have socio-cultural theory, which is the building blocks, behavioral child development, attachment theory, cognitive development, social learning theory, psychosexual development, and psychosocial development. Is that something that you basically observe, like this type of development theories that go on in your classroom?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I definitely want to go into the infant. They have the development stages for the infant, the toddler, the preschoolers, and school-going children, and then into the adolescents. And then we have this one where it is the stages of development, birth to 2 years old, understands world through senses and actions. Then from the pre-operational, which is 2 to 7 years, which understands the world through language and mental images. And then the concrete operational is 7 to 12 years, understands the world through logic, thinking, and categories. And then you have formal operational, which is understand the world, which is 12 and up, which understands the world through hypothetical thinking and scientific reasoning. And those are the diagrams that I wanted to show you. So any of those you wanted to elaborate more on, or they're just self-explanatory? Which one?
I mean, they are self-explanatory, but for the most part, they teach us to allow kids to learn through play. So they, like, honestly, they supposed to, most of their day is supposed to be just surrounded around play. We only have like maybe a good 30 to 40 minutes that a child will actually give us to sit down and actually like do work, because to them all they want to do is play. So I try to always, when we do circle time, from circle time we go into the spelling or tracing of our name. If they pass tracing and they're now writing their name on their own, after that, then it's a project. So the project will be just based off of whatever we're learning in that particular month. But for me, even through play, so even if they're playing with whatever they're playing with, I try to find a way to make it learnable. Like if you don't know your colors and you playing with them blocks, I need you to tell me what color is that block, what colors, or count them. You need to learn how to count because pointing 1, 2, 3, and then they skip 5, 6. No, that's not how you count. You gotta go 1, 2. So I try to incorporate teaching in every aspect, even if it is just playing outside. You go outside for outside time. Anything, go collect me 5 leaves. Like I always try to make it about learning at all times.
And that's dope because every child, and I always say this, every child learns different. You have some child that learns through textbook, and you have some child that learn through visual. So you know your strength of your children, right?
Right.
Correct. So how does, when it comes to the new way of how they're changing up the language of the people as far as identification, are you finding that more children and parents, or I should say more parents, pushing the identification type of labeling? When I say he, she, her, them, do you have those type of parents coming in?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't have those type of parents. No. But in the classroom setting, if a little boy decides to put on a tutu in the dress up area, I can't tell him that he can't do that. Like I can't say that's not good. Me personally, redirect him and be like, I might say, I think that would look better on Rylan, like I say something of that nature, but just to tell him that he can't do it, I can't tell him that he can't. And vice versa for the little girls also. If they're playing with, and I get a lot of little girls that want to play with the trucks and the cars and stuff like that, but we just can't redirect them from that. We have to let them be themselves.
Got you. Got you. Is that something that you guys had to go through a meeting to address ever since it came into the realm now that is a new thing that you have to respect? Was there a meeting about that?
We have to do follow-up trainings. Like once a year we have to do like maybe 6 to 8 trainings. Overall, no, that's just been something that's always just been there. As we learned that from when you take the class. So that's just always how that's been.
Okay. Well, I know Major, you about to go down this road shortly. Anything that you might want to ask her as far as when it comes to child development that you might find interesting in?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, shout out to your headpiece there. That's fly. I like that. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. For kids, my thing is this. What would you say would be the best to prepare them before they get to you? Like my grandmother used to take me to the park, every day, even before I went to any kind of school or whatever the case may be. She used to take me to the park every day, teach me reading, writing, arithmetic, so forth and so on. Maybe my mom might be able to. I know that we won't really have the time to like that, me and my wife, or it's going to be more difficult to do it every day like then. You know what I mean? Like, is there some type of prep that we can do at home before we send her to you, preferably something that's not particularly time consuming?
How old is the child?
No, we don't have a child yet.
Oh, okay.
We're going to start
soon
working at it this year. By the way, that's Bobby Drake.
Hello.
He came in late. That's Mr. Bobby Drake. That's Tanesha. Yeah. So like what things, because we don't know. We're totally green, right? Neither one of us have children. We've never had children. So from your perspective, in this modern day environment, what does that look like?
What I would say, overall, because like I said, at that early on stage, even at 3 months, 4 months, like talk even in the belly, read to the belly, talk to the belly. That goo goo gaga stuff, don't do that. Like, no, you read music, and that's in the belly. So once the child, when you have your child, I would say just do little things like, the reading of bedtime stories, just what it starts that early. So little things counting, or even some of the cartoons are very educational nowadays. Gracie's Corner, that's something I allow my kids to listen to. We do Gracie's Corner. Then there's also what is the guy name? Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name right now. But it's certain ones that I would say it's okay to allow the child to watch,
right?
Versus some of the other stuff that people allow the kids to watch is like, no, because they're not learning positive, they're learning negative. So and that kind of stuff, even if it's on repeat, because that's how they learn, repetitive, like constant hearing the same thing, watching. I have a really smart little girl in my class, but when it comes to common sense, she has none of it. So it's like, she's very smart. She know her name, can spell it, her birth, she knows all of that. But if I say, hey, go put that chair in the corner, she can't follow that through. So
wow.
That becomes like, okay, y'all, what are you guys doing at home? Do y'all allow her to do things on her own? My 3-year-olds, if they pee on themselves, I go make sure that they clean and everything, but I'm not changing you. You finna change yourself. You finna put them clothes on by yourself.
I like that.
You gotta allow them to grow up. You can't baby them. You can't make them handicapped. Basically, you're handicapping your child when they're doing that. And I feel bad because when she took her ASQ, she pretty much was not where she should have been. But I know she's smart and she should have scored higher. But like I said, I can't say to her, or I can't point out the directions. She has to just be able to do it on her own.
That's heavy.
Nice. I got 2 questions here for you. The first question is there a ratio for teachers to children based on age? For example, 1 teacher to 10 children for ages 1 year to 3 years. Is there something that?
With infants, it's 1 teacher per 6. So you can only have 6 kids in the 1-year-old classroom with 1 teacher. The 2-year-old classroom, depending also on the size of the facility, but a 2-year-old teacher, like for us, we could go up to 9 or 10 in a 2-year-old classroom. When I said the 3-year-old teacher, I can have up to 15 3-year-olds by myself.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. The next one is, what's your thoughts, if any, on children skipping grades based on educational level versus being mentally or emotionally ready for the next grade? Could it be detrimental to their progress?
I would say yes. I wouldn't, just because a child is, like I said, smart in that area doesn't mean that they're ready to go to the next grade, because again, they might not be in other aspects. They might not be ready in other aspects for that grade. So skipping a grade, it depends on the child. I'm gonna have to say it depends on the child. I can't just say it based off of one child. It just depends on the child for me.
Gotcha. So if you see that your child might need more social adapting or a little bit more curation in other aspects opposed from educational, then more than likely you would say, I mean, you wouldn't say, but more than likely you would think that that parent would just leave that child there, let them excel while developing their other aspects before moving on to the next grade.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. That's my questions for you. I definitely wanted to touch on what you said earlier, and I have 2 videos that I want to show real quick about that. So I'll go with this one first.
I go wrong. Did I do something wrong by wearing a dress in my younger years?
I want to quote one of our elder grandmaster teachers, Professor James Small.
Yes.
He said, in response to a question about movies, media, and entertainment, he said, all content has intent. When you sit down and watch an hour and 45-minute long movie,
right,
and you know this better than most, being a successful actor you are, everything that you saw on that final cut, from the color to the background objects, to the pictures, to the clothing, to the conversation, to the symbolism, everything had a purpose in communicating the overall message of that movie.
Yes.
So if we will admit that entertainment is a weapon of indoctrination, in an age where we see a war against not only the life of Black men, but the survival of Black masculinity, how can a Black man putting on a dress not be a problem?
I would bring it back to everything that I just said. What is the issue? And again, because by that means you're telling me you have an issue with understanding the feminine within the Black man.
But I want us to make sure we draw a distinction between feminine energy and female sexuality. Because when you spoke earlier about being secure in your masculine and being able to entertain your feminine, I can respect that.
Right.
But we're not talking about entertaining the feminine, because we all have that balance within us.
Right.
But masculine and feminine energy is not the same as male sexuality and female sexuality. So for example, certain feminine trait, patience is a feminine trait.
Absolutely.
You see that. Tolerance is a feminine trait. So when Dr. Umar says, absolutely, I can step into my feminine to nurture my queen.
Right.
Nurture my children.
Right.
I'm gonna step into my masculine to provide for my queen and protect my children.
Right.
But when we talk about female sexuality
and the images,
absolutely, for children who consume more television per capita than any other ethnic group in America. So the messages you put in those movies are going to hit our children 50 times harder because they're more dependent on television than anyone else. And they're less likely to have a father at home, Nick. So you're talking about a Black male role model who took me this far in my life as a masculine example. And now you're going to put this on, which is now going to force me as an innocent child to entertain all of what can come from putting on that dress.
Did I go wrong?
So I want to also show this
with
one.
Black characters, it's going to appeal to a lot of people. Doesn't need to take place on a plantation. Doesn't need to take place in the projects. Doesn't need to have drug dealers in it. Doesn't need to have gang members in it. That there's an audience for different depictions of people's lives, and there is a market for depiction.
So he's saying, basically, we don't have to do the same stereotypical movies and imagery all the time, which I've been preaching and agreeing with. And the reason why I brought that up is because I remember when I was with my ex years ago, and we went to go see the movie. We went to the movies. I took them to the movies. So they didn't come into the adult movies with us. We made them go watch the kids section of the movies. And they chose, at that time was, I think, SpongeBob movie. I think SpongeBob's movie was out at that time. And they went to go see it. And we went to go see our movie, which was, adult rated movie. But they were both lined up at the same time. So we came out at the same time. I remember walking back to the car. And I remember the youngest boy and my oldest stepson, they both came to me and they was like, Mr. Anthony, we was watching the movie and it was some weird stuff going on in the movie. Now, mind you, this is a cartoon movie, and I never preached about it to them. I never put them up on game before they went in there. They're telling me that it was some real agenda type things thrown in there. And when they described all of that stuff, my mouth just dropped because these are innocent children that are picking this stuff up. So I'm like, it's crazy. How do we get to a level where we can block that off? Because now I'm seeing there's a viral video going around with a bunch of little girls that's in a classroom and they're singing Sexy Red song, Hands on Your Knees, Let Your Coochie Breathe, and then they're playing the adult version of the record. This isn't the radio version, this is the adult version. So how do we do that? Like, what is your advice for that? I know you were talking about Grace's Corner and stuff like that, but I don't think every parent is onto that. You know, what can we do to help that in that aspect, to try to protect the imagery of what's the agenda trying to push on these children?
I mean, again, that it starts at home. So if the parents is allowing it, then that's what it is. In my classroom, it's not allowed. Like, I don't let my kids sing those songs, especially if you can't tell me your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s. Like, no. So, but it's at home. They learn at home, and it sucks because I'm not the parent. I'm the parent when they're there with me. From, you know, most of my kids I have from almost 10 hours a day, some of them. So
wow.
While I have them, they're on track. The days that I hate, it's Monday mornings. Okay, it's the whole week. Me and these kids is on one accord. We understand each other, and then they go home for that weekend, and they come back on that Monday. I gotta start all over again to get them back on track.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I mean, parents just they gotta do better. Like, they just gotta do better. Like, they gotta want it for their child. Like, they do.
So okay, so as us being the community, as Manifestations being the voice of the community, trying to embrace the solutions for the community, what can we do to try to mend that gap? Is there something that we can have an event for teachers and parents to get together and try to do something like that, or do we? I don't know. I'm just.
That does sound like something that could be done, but then again, you're still gonna get those parents that's just there because it's a free event going on, and they're not really there because they really care. The parent has to care, but if you doing something to make them care, then I guess I talk to my parents over and over, and I don't care how many times they get mad at me or they tell me. I be like, I send the homework home, the homework don't come back. I'm like, my baby ain't gonna get a treat because he or she not bringing homework back. Everybody else bring homework back, but this particular child's not getting anything because you're not doing homework with them. So I try to make my kids, most of my kids they very articulate. Like, they could hold a real conversation with you, and they're only 3 years old, 3 to 4 years old. But I tell my kids all the time, tell your mama to do this, this, and this. Like, I talk to them like I'm talking to y'all. I don't talk to them like little kids. And you've heard me on the phone with them, so you know how I talk to my students. Like, but it's the parent has to want better for their child.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that is such a it's a much needed, because like I said, it just feels like gang member activity when you have a teacher trying to tell a parent something about their child to help them, and it becomes confrontational. You know, we're seeing these teachers and parents fights on social media through World Star videos, you know, so it's like, how do we resolve that? Like, how do we try to make that smooth? Because at the end of the day, you know, all beef aside, it's all about the child. It's really about the child. So why are we fighting each other about the development of the child in a very positive manner? It's the wildest thing for me. I just can't understand it.
I can't either. And I guess we could keep trying to figure it out until we get a solution for it. But and the thing is, they look at it also is because, like I said, they see us as just a daycare. Like, we're just there to watch their child while they go to work. But they have to remember that their child is gonna leave this daycare to go into elementary school and then middle school and high school. But if you don't stop, and I've had some kids that, like, we don't really try to kick a child out. Like, we hold on to that child as long as possible, because once you start kicking the child out, they're gonna that's it for them. Like it's going downhill. Like, and we've had a couple kids that we've had to do that to, but at the end of the day, those same parents that came back and said, "Man, I should have listened to y'all. I should have took y'all up on y'all advice." But it's kind of too late now because they're in middle school and they getting suspended, and they as a parent, you ain't do your part, and now you suffering because all you had to do is try to stop it before it even started.
Exactly. I think that's a powerful message right there. Because like I tell people all the time, the developmental stages is 0 to 13. You know, once you get to even close to 13 and you haven't corrected it, it's going to be very hard because now as the years picked up, like I stated before, it becomes habits. And habits is one of the hardest things to break. So that's why you have to curate them and put them on the right track and keep them on that track from the early stages and develop them and make sure that they're in line the whole time. And then it becomes natural. It's not even nothing forced now. It's a natural habit for them to be on that level. And, you know, that's why if you look at the Army and the military, and so many people come out of there on, you know, I've dealt with military people, my people's military. And one thing about them, they're so astute at certain, but it's the development of the military, like the training, the basic ins and outs that keep you on that level. And I think when you have that same type of mentality with your child, you know, keeping them on that routine level, you know, that child begins to progress and ends up being an excellent student and an excellent person in society. But like you say, it all depends on the parent and how they see their children. And one thing I will add on is, you know, I always put up, when I was back in the days, I always used to put up these phenomenal stories of these children that were 14 years old and graduated high school with a college degree. And people would be like, wow, that child is super smart and their parents are super gifted. And I'm like, no, it's the energy and the time they invested in that child. It's the resources that they poured into that child. Because guess what? I took that same resources and I had my stepchildren taking middle school classes in they were taking high school classes in middle school, and they were taking college classes in high school. But what's the average parent that knows that? What's the average parent that goes out and finds the information on how to put their child in that program? You know, but I was a person, and the mother was too, was very studious on these children. We were always on these children. How many parents out there are on their children like that, or willing to learn to see how their child can excel like somebody else's child? You know, everybody just throws their children in and say, hey, you know, even if you get a D, you pass, that's good, as long as you ain't get held back. No, it's bad. Because if they're struggling like that in classes that they're supposed to be in, then the more they drag their feet on, it gets harder and harder and harder. And then you end up being a 22-year-old, or no, you can't be 22, but 21-year-old in high school. You know, we have those incidents as well. So I get it, you know. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
A couple things, man. I find it very interesting that we're here discussing the exact same traits and attributes that are causing relationships to fail, that are causing children to fail at school in a young age. That's very interesting. That is a lack of accountability. And it's coming from the same people, which are the parents. So that just makes the conversation a little broader. You know what I mean? To say not only is lack of accountability affecting your life relationships with other adults, it's also harming your kids. This is another reason why people need to get off of this, you know, this unaccountable, you know, nonsense where, you know, they all get in this echo chamber and they cheer each other on for doing stupid things and not taking accountability for what their issues are and owning up to them. You know what I'm saying? And it's really sad. I think that, you know, the paradigm shift that we often talk about that is so needed is the solution. You know, like you just said, you know, we have to kind of make, as a culture, as a collective, we have to make excellence the standard. You know what I mean? Like you say, there's too many parents that are just okay with mediocrity. Okay, you got to see you passing. And that's because they did that in school a lot of the time, you know, and their parents were okay with it, you know, and then you get into this cycle, it becomes cyclical where, you know, you just get a regular job, you know what I mean, with regular insurance, and you just live a regular life, and you never really get to excel because you never thought that you could to begin with.
Exactly.
As a culture, you know, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And I think, you know, we could really make some headway on this by something that Bobby often talks about, which is therapy. Because there's a reason why so many of these grown ass men and women never talk about being accountable for things and improving, because they're convinced that they're perfectly okay and they have nothing to improve on. And like you say, they get defensive. The least little thing when you try to correct them or their children now, because they're looking at their children. If you say something bad about their children, you're attacking them by proxy. That's how they're looking at it. You understand what I'm saying? And so, like, you know, we need to get on this kick where we're pushing and promoting and actively promoting, in my heart, therapy to the community. I don't know. Bobby Drake talks about it a lot. He might want to say something to you about it. What's up, Bob? We haven't heard from you just yet.
I'm just soaking in the gems. I'm just listening to the game that's being brought up. I caught the tail end of Anthony giving you your flowers, and Major acknowledging the fact that educators definitely need to get that same energy that we give our troops, because I'll be damned if they don't go to war. I've been in the trenches before. I've spent about 10 years in the classroom as well. So a lot of the stuff you're talking about, I understand. I get it. I just started getting some flashbacks and some PTSD. When you mentioned those Mondays, like, oh, damn, those Mondays used to be up. I used to have to double up on the coffee that morning because I knew I had to really be on one. Yeah. Especially when the younger ones, because the older ones, for the most part, they've been more consistent. But those babies, if they're like third grade and younger, yeah, in some cases, if you taught them, you'll find out exactly why they on one today. Is where they find, oh, we went out to doing such that. Like, you did that. How old are you again, Billy? Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. Go put your book back over there. So I get it. No, but definitely. One thing I did want to ask, I was trying to think of something I could ask you that hadn't been put forth yet. I don't know if this is something that you implemented your school in your classes, or if it's something you've considered. But I know in some classrooms, and I think they do this more really with the elementary age. I haven't seen or heard of anybody doing it at some of the upper education groups, the middle school, high school levels. But I know that at least 3 or 4 years ago, there was a movement where they were putting in, or in some schools, they were allowing mindfulness and yoga practices to kind of help center the kids, to kind of help get them to relax, to kind of ease anxiety and tension, especially in kids that were more at risk, so to speak. And the teachers that were implementing it, they had like the little curriculum, a little mindfulness, yoga, meditation for about 30, 45 minutes out the day. And I remember hearing that the teachers were overwhelmed with the results they were getting like right away. The students were more receptive. They were having more positive outcomes. There was less, fighting. They were more attentive in class and schools. I was wondering, are there any kind of holistic practices that you guys use at your school or in your classes? Or is that something that you've considered or thought about?
For us, because they are so young, I do brain breaks. So I feel like if I feel like it's too much going on, we just take a moment. It's a brain break. We stop. Basically, I guess it's like meditation, but it's, like just let's inside voices, quiet down, and might sing a song or dance or whatever. of that nature, just in that moment. Just, okay, right now we just need a brain break. We need to stop. Let's refocus. Let's gather our thoughts and then go from there. But because they are so young, it's just like you have to do things that's gonna catch their attention. Like I'm on their time. So they like singing, they like dancing, that's what we're gonna do. Like it's just whatever in the moment for them in that moment.
Definitely. That's definitely age appropriate at that level. That's their version of kind of the whole little training, but basically just allowing the brain to kind of reset, to take a step back. Because even at a young age, they can be pushed, they can be challenged, but like anything else, you got to know where that limit is. You don't want to push them too hard, because if they break, then they can't. Then they're no good the rest of the day. They're trying to recover from the over exercise of it. But if you don't do enough, then you're not really taking advantage and really get them to the potential. So it's that sweet spot you got to find. It's not too rough, but it's not too gentle, but you have them right where they are and you're just adjusting. But I like hearing that, especially since there's not like necessarily a set period. You like, if I see that, I see that little warning sign, I can hear the smoke detector beeping, so to speak.
Right.
Okay, let's change the battery real quick.
Right. Yep. And for me, I also like I like, if my kids have birthday parties and stuff like that, I attend those parties. I try to do stuff outside of school with them. So I kind of like try to make them feel as comfortable as they can. Like I take my students to my house. Like I try to get on that level, especially when I know that particular parent is not 100% there how I want them to be. So I have to try to even make that parent comfortable enough to know, like, listen, I'm here for your child. So, hey, can I spend time with your child over the weekend? We go to the park, we do whatever. I have parents that call me back, I'm gonna be running a little late. Can you take my baby home with you? And I get it from, like, I'm that teacher. Like, I try to get involved as much as possible as I can.
So that's beautiful. That's excellent.
We need that. We need that out here.
That's that next level. There's just regular, there's just showing up to collect the check. You go, you've done your X amount of hours, done your lesson plans. Okay,
that's
but
why
then
I say
there's that next level.
Exactly. You gotta have a love for it. Like you do. You gotta love kids, regardless of how much I'd be like, oh my God, I can't wait till the end of the day. But I love my kids. Even if I'm having like a bad moment, kids sense those things. Like they liven me up. Like I might be having a bad morning, but I walk into that door and they all excited to see me. And they don't even call me, like my students call me teacher. So that's my name for my students. Like I'm known as teacher. So when they parents be like, well, what's your name? Because they just be saying teacher. And I'm like, that's my name. I had a student that couldn't say Tanesha, Miss Tanesha, and he started calling me teacher. And ever since then, it just ran with me. So that's my name.
That's fly.
Yeah.
That is so dope. Listen, because like you said, they can sense it when you're having a bad day. Kids are smart.
Yes.
Kids are intuitive, even above and beyond them being smart. They're intuitive. You know what I mean? And like Ant said, well, I think maybe you said someone said earlier, kids remember you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about. I'm a little. I'm very legal. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm just say that about my age. I'm very legal, right? And I can still remember the teachers who made a difference in my life. I can tell you about Miss Hazelton, who was my 5th grade teacher. I was 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? Miss Bradshaw, who got me in Brain Bowl and who got me in the science fair and all that. I can tell you Miss Bradshaw, Miss Ship, who I couldn't stand, but she was so hard on me. She was so hard on me that I appreciate her now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can tell you about these people.
Mm-hmm.
So, even sometimes the kids or even the parents, like you said earlier, they may not realize until later on, damn, we should have listened to you.
Mm-hmm.
But those teachers that went that extra mile matter.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's literally life and death.
Yep.
For some people, some of the people I know people directly, who listened to their teachers. I can remember their teachers giving them a good talking to and them turning around versus the teachers, the kids who didn't listen.
Right.
I can tell you two of them kids who didn't listen and just kept doing what they were doing off the top of my head, they're dead now. I can tell you, you know what I'm saying? And 3 other ones are in prison. You know what I'm saying? I was there when the teacher used to have these complicated, deep conversations with him. Because look, I'm former dropout prevention. I was in dropout prevention when I started high school. I went from dropout prevention my first year of high school, skipped regular classes, skipped it honors classes, and went to advanced placement my second year of high school. Something's obviously not right here. You know what I'm saying? There's a disconnect. Yeah, I was a badass, smart. You know what I'm saying? I was smart. And so they caught it, and they elevated me, gave me something that was more challenging, because I would go to regular class and I'd be bored, man. I miss class 4 days out of the week, go on Friday, take the test and make an A.
Right.
So they had to move me, and then the regular classes, honors classes, that wasn't nothing for me either. So they put me in advanced placement, and then they had me, the same person who was in dropout prevention the year before. Now they have me going and mentoring the kids in dropout prevention. You understand?
So you see why I said it depends on the child.
It depends on the child.
Perfect
you know example. What I'm saying? But like you said, true enough, but like you said, all of this, I got that way because of what I was getting at home, and because of my teachers in school that reinforced it. You know what I'm saying? So like it all comes full circle. And people gave me a lot of credit. Damn, how the hell well, you know what? I had some help. You know what I mean? And that's just what it was. So again, shout out to you and everything that you do, and the others that do it to the level and have the level of dedication that you put into it. That's what makes it special. So Bob, you said anybody could come for the check. You know what I'm saying? Anybody could do that. But when you work with people and you try to find common ground, and you really go the extra mile to make sure that things are being done for the best interest of the child and the family, and by proxy the community, because that's how we build communities, right?
Correct.
That's where the sweet spot is.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I did want to show a video real quick, because I think it's something serious that a lot of teachers go through and have to be it's kind of a gray area for teachers, and you guys will understand when I talk or when I show you guys this video and explain a little bit more. But it's very important for parents, especially women, to take accountability and to understand and realize a lot of things and pick up on certain things that can help save yourself and your family at times. So when people are out here giving you advice, sometimes, just like Major said, we're dealing with this as a child in a child parent space, but also these problems also linger in relationship spaces as well. So I just want to show this video real quick and then go into it a little bit more.
Human being you see in this photo killed his entire family twice. This man is Gregory Green, and in 1991 he stabbed his wife in the face and chest, killing her and their unborn child. He then called 911 and waited for the police to come. After serving 16 years in prison, he was released in 2008 with the support of family and friends, including a pastor who lobbied on his behalf. He then married Faith Harris, the pastor's daughter, and became a stepfather to her 2 teenage children, and the couple would go on to have 2 daughters of their own. However, on September 21st, 2016, Faith found herself bound with duct tape and zip ties in the basement of their Michigan home. Her foot had been shot, her face slashed with a box cutter, and her 4 children were dead. The killer was her husband, and just as Gregory did when he killed his first wife, he called 911 and waited for police to come.
Damn.
Yeah. So I wanted to show this because, when as single mothers and single fathers, when you bring mates into your life, a lot of times they kind of do some abusive stuff to your children. In this case, it ended up being fatal. But, we see a lot of times in the news that the stepfather killed the child, his girlfriend's child, or we'll see the girlfriend end up killing the boyfriend's child, and it's so crazy because a lot of times we even have children that come to school that's been abused by their own parents. And I know it's a gray area for you guys when it comes to that. I don't know if you ever experienced that before. Have you had cases where you saw a child that came in kind of bruised up or looked like they have been affected some kind of way? Maybe their behavior changed from over the weekend. Did you pick up on some of those stuff? Does some of those stuff ever come across your desk like that?
Yeah, we most times DCF is already probably involved in the child's life. But for us, when the child come in the morning, we, give a quick overall look and check, make sure there's no bruises or anything of that nature. Because also when they leave, most parents want to make sure ain't nothing wrong with them before they leave because they have a situation going on at home. So if they bump their head or they got a bruise or anything, we have to do incident reports for those type of things. But like I said, most times DCF is involved in those situations, and they come out and evaluate the kids and stuff like that of that nature, or ask us questions as far as if we think something is going on or if we feel like a child is in danger or whatever, and vice versa. If we feel like a child is in danger or being harmed, we're supposed to report it.
Yeah, and that's why I said that's where I said the gray area comes in, because sometimes, a lot of teachers, I've talked to a lot of teachers, and they say they struggle with that because they don't want the child to be thrown into the system and then it becomes worse, but then you don't want the child to suffer anymore. So it's like your mind is playing devil's advocate back and forth with you. So my heart goes out to you guys, because you guys not only have to deal with your own livelihood, your own children, your own situations, and then you have to take on all these other children and all their situations. So
Right.
what are some of the self-care activities that you do for yourself to keep you sane at times?
Liquor. No, I'm joking.
There's always a little bit of truth in humor, though.
Whoa!
There's always a little bit of truth in humor.
it's just a little bit. Just a little bit. Self-care.
The bottomless mimosas, huh? Yeah.
Self-care for myself. I like poetry, and you've gotten me into wanting to read books now, because I kind of wasn't doing that anymore, but I've started back reading books or whatever. A day just for me, peace and quiet, like at the park. Sometimes I just want to be in the room with like just the dark. Like I'm very simple. If I want to catch a movie, but most times it's just simple things. Simple. I don't need a lot of it. I mean, overall, I got kids too, so I understand it. And at the end of the day, it's a job that I love, but at the same time, like, I'm not gonna let it stress me out. I'm not gonna let it get the best of me. I can only do so much. So,
but I think it's a little bit easier, and I don't want to estimate what you go through on a daily basis, but I think it's a little bit easier for you because you mostly have a stern leadership about you. So your children really don't act up with you. They might act up with some other teacher, but with you, they know how to behave. And so I think you have it more under control than other teachers do. So I think that kind of helps and plays into not being so overwhelmed as much as other teachers are.
it used to bother me. I ain't gonna lie. Like before, like a while back, like if I'm trying to explain something to a parent and I feel like they just not on the same page that I am, it used to upset me because like I want my child to see like this is not only for you. Like when my students leave my classroom to go into the VPK classroom, like I want them to be where they're supposed to be. So it's like it bothers me if a parent don't do their part. But I pray too. I pray a lot. Like that's my outlet. Like I pray and either they gonna get on the same page that I'm on, or I just can't put all my focus into that.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. You guys have any other questions before she, wraps up what she needs to wrap up with us? Do you guys have any more? Drake, you came in late. You have any questions for her?
Everything that I had in mind has already been asked, so my questions are taken care of.
Oh, okay. I do want to say, I know you're going to be, like Major said, you're going to be one of those memorable teachers. Children, even at the age that young, a lot of them don't forget. A lot of them will come back and see you from other grades and come back and say hi and things like that. And it's so impactful because people don't understand, like when you have good character educators or people around you that's always, doing good things or breathing life into you and stuff like that, it's very impactful to these children. And I want to show this video real quick to show you how impactful it is and why it's important for more people to step up and be this impactful, because the children, when I tell you they grasp to it and they love it and they're very appreciative, you'll see what I'm talking about after this video.
Seriously, you're the GOAT. You're one of those people that really care about, and you've made the PC experience so good for all of us, for myself. Everyone here can testify to how good you are. And you told us a while ago that you wanted to see your family in Nigeria that you haven't seen in a long time. So we came together, 4th Floor Ray started it, and we spread the word. We started GoFundMe because we take care of our own. That's what we do at PC. As long as I've been here, they've done that for me, done that for each other. So now we're doing it for you, part of the family. So our gift to you is a trip to Nigeria. So so we have a card for you, and we also have a little gift inside. We just appreciate you, James. So we just hope you enjoy your gift, and we love you. You're part of the family. Love you, James. Love you, James. And he said you were feeling good today, too. I walked in, he was like, I'm in a good mood today. He had a smile on his face, and I don't know. Oh my God.
I told him there's going to be a lot of traffic tonight.
So,
God, guys, well, how did I deserve this, man? Oh my God, guys. Oh. All I'm trying to do is to do the right thing and make sure I'm doing good by you guys, man, better. This is unexpected, I don't know how much I can thank you guys, man. I don't know how much I can thank you. I pray from the bottom of my heart that God will continue to protect you guys, to make sure that you achieve your goals. And the main thing, is this is unbelievable. This is unexpected, and I hope and I pray that God will continue to bless you, bless your parents, be with you guys, guide you to the end, because we started together, and I want to make sure we finish together by God's grace. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Wow.
Right.
That was
awesome.
Hey man, don't you ever ambush me with no video like that. What's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you?
Make me
cry. You want to fight, man? Look, I'm fighting right now,
bro.
It's like right here.
That was heavy. That was heavy.
God,
you know what? What's even more heavy than the obvious in that video to me? This guy's a security guard.
Right.
He's not even by the definition of his job, he's not even interacting with the kids on that level. Like he's not teaching them, but he obviously is.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Again, that above and beyond is serious, man. That was a powerful video.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, like you said, and you know, them ones, they remember them ones. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk. That was beautiful, man. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. That was
It's
a nice treat.
it doesn't matter if you're a teacher, administrator, security guard. You could be the janitor, the person who goes and collects the garbage and tosses it in the trash can.
Yeah.
There is a special spiritual blessing on people who on a regular basis are placed in the care in one way or another of children and do right by them.
Real talk.
Because again, you can just show up and collect your check, do what your job description says, or barely do it in some cases. Collect the check and go home.
Right.
But for those people that take it upon themselves to go ahead and be a blessing, maybe the cafeteria lady, you got a student that comes in, that they're not eating like that at home, they don't have a lot of food. When no one's looking, you go and give them a little extra something, or maybe you wipe out the school debt. If you're a teacher, maybe you stack snacks in your pantry because you have children who need a little extra, or what have you. It makes a huge difference. I remember at the beginning of this year, my mom, she still teaches, and one of her students in the third grade, I think, he had a surgery on his leg. Never had surgery before, but he had I think he either broke his leg or he'd had some leg issues, and he's finally getting surgery for it. And surprisingly, nobody else in the school really knew. But my mother has she's always had an amazing rapport with her students. And he told her, I'm going for surgery, so I'm not going to be in school for a while. So she took it upon herself to go ahead and get his number. She reached out to him while he was out, taught them, prayed with the family and everything. And when that boy came back, she said he damn near paralyzed her because he had the biggest hug for her. And she said, "Thank you so much." He had and this was just after Christmas break came back and everything. Him and his parents got her like a nice little gift basket and everything, unexpected. And after that, she's like, kids from other classes that she doesn't even have. Every time they saw her in the hallway, hi, give her hugs, whatever. Kids that she has no interaction with, but just because they knew about how good she was to him,
yeah.
As she even went out of the way to talk to administration, he just had surgery. See if you can get like a monitor or someone to kind of help him get from class to class, whatever. And they're like, thank you so much for the information. But just doing that little extra made all the difference in that child's life.
Mm-hmm.
It even impacted the lives of other students that didn't even directly get to experience that. But when you have those opportunities, man, and you don't let them drop, you'll be surprised how it'll pay off for you. And in her case, she got to experience the payback or see the benefits of that right away.
Right.
But sometimes it may be years down the line. Like you mentioned, Major, sometimes, somebody come back to school and say, hey, how you doing? You don't remember me? I'm so-and-so. And all that good stuff. I don't know if you did it or not, but I remember there was a video of your boy, Brock Purdy. He went back to his high school. Mm-hmm. And he popped in unexpected on his, I think his high school language arts teacher.
I saw
He had his hat on low and everything, and all anonymous, whatever. And when his teacher saw him and took the hat off, her jaw. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's Brock Birdie!" And she was overwhelmed. And he was to say, "I want to thank you so much for looking out for me, being a great teacher." But those are the moments that really take it beyond a check. It doesn't matter what benefits you get, what pension or tenure you have or whatever. It's those moments where you get to see, I got to impact a life. I made a difference in someone's life. There's no paycheck you can put on that. Right? What that brother did, what that brother received at that school, they could have doubled his salary as a security guard. Nothing could have impacted his life more than those students going together, valuing his presence in their lives and raising that money for him to see his family. There's no paycheck that's going to compete with that.
Right.
It's not possible.
Real talk.
Exactly. Real talk. We had a question real quick, but I remember an incident that you told me about, and I think this could be a good way to basically talk about that incident. But you mentioned about kicking out a child. Is that because of their behavior or because the parents are not involved?
Behavior.
And I remember the involved part too. I told them both because I remember what you were telling me about the potty train. But go ahead.
What story are you talking about?
You remember you said that the parent had another child and you was like, nope, don't bring him in my class because yeah.
Yes. Okay. So for me or my class, I used to have a restroom in my classroom where I can potty train in my classroom, but it was a lot of stuff going on, so we had it removed. So I no longer have a restroom in my classroom. So the 3-year-olds have to be potty trained before they could come into my class. So what had happened was one of the parents was like, "Oh, he's potty trained XYZ or whatever, whatever." So we took the child. I gave it a week because sometimes a new environment, you're not familiar with it, you're going to still have accidents or whatever, whatever. But after the week, this child is still not going to the bathroom and it's, going on himself. So I'm like, are you sure he's potty trained? And she just swore me down that he was. I was like, because he don't go to the bathroom here. And like, for me, I don't have to tell my kids to go to the restroom because they're potty trained. They just go. So she was like, yeah, he is. Needless to say, I was over it. I was like, he's not potty trained, but I'm gonna just go ahead and let him stay. So I let him stay. So I ended up being the one who actually potty trained her child. So she had another student, her other child. He was in the infant room at the time, but now he's old enough. He's getting ready to come into my class. But I'm like, he not potty trained. And so I made him stay in the 2-year-old classroom because I was not going to deal with that because she's not potty training at home. She just wanted us to do her job. I'm like, if you're doing it at home and we're doing it here, it's no reason that he can't get potty trained quicker than what he's being potty trained. This little boy, 4, and just really got potty trained. Like, that's just how bad she wasn't doing it at home. Like, wow. And that's crazy to me. Like, don't make no. She was like, but she would put him in the door in the morning, and she'd be like, "Okay, you're gonna go to Miss Tanesha class." I'm like, "No, he's not, because he's not potty trained. He gonna be in his 2-year-old classroom until he potty trained, and he's gonna be 4, and yeah, just got potty trained. Like, that's sad.
Wow,
because it was only the teacher working on it.
Yeah, I brought that up because you did say that you removed them for behavior, but they also, I remember that incident where the parent.
I just made him stay in the 2-year-old classroom. But behavior wise, it was a student that was kicked out because he spit on me. So that was like a big no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I know you got to go. I know time is up. You gave us a lot of time, and we're very appreciative of that. We could have you here all night with us. So before you go, do you have any social media that you want people to follow you, or do you want to give out numbers that people can, apply for a tutor, whether it's a 1-800 number or whatever the case may be? Anything that you want to give the listeners so they can follow up with whatever you said.
I mean, resources is early learning coalition. So if people are not familiar with who helps with paying for daycare, early learning coalition is here. It's Volusia County, but down there it'll be different. But that's they help with paying for childcare for parents. And I spoke on the being on the spectrum. I'm trying to find that phone number.
Yeah, while you find it, what you said that it was, so we could write it in the chat. It's
early learning correlation is who helps pay for childcare.
Okay.
And the being on the spectrum, when I was speaking on that here, I mean, it should be the same, but under the age of 3, they can reach out to Early Steps, and that's somewhere it's free, but they help with kids that, might need that additional classroom setting. I have numbers for here. I can give the number. It's 386.
Okay.
873-0365.
Okay.
And then if they're over the age of 3, it's called Child Fine. And their number is 386-255-6475.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you so
Phenomenal.
much. That was so informative.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming.
Anytime. Okay,
All
cool. So I put that up in
Be
the
like
chat.
hero.
Yeah, like I said, thank you so much. Thank you for doing, making sure that the community is being held tighter than a lot of people are, a lot of people have given up on the community just to see that you keep the same passion. I know a lot of educators are fighting against the system because, their passion wants to help them do more for the children. Their passion wants to help them educate more than children. And then they have a school system that is programmed to push them from basically classroom to prison. So it's a school to prison pipeline. And we do have educators out there that are trying their best, fighting against the parents to make sure that they don't end up on that path towards prison. And you are one of those educators that you're trying your hardest and doing a good job at it to keep those children out of harm's way and out of that system that they're designed to be in this school realm, right? So I definitely, my hat's off to you. Thanks for being an amazing person. Thanks for being an amazing friend.
Thank
and
you.
anytime you want to come back and talk, give us some update later on when it's closer to school, you can always come back on closer to school if you have more resources or whatever. Just holler back at us. We can bring you back on and get these parents ready for school year this year and all the new things that need to be implemented as well.
No problem. Will do.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much. Appreciate you. Have a great one.
You too.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Nice. All right. Yeah.
All heroes don't wear capes.
All
It is.
heroes don't wear capes, man.
There you
All
go.
heroes don't wear capes. So I do want to jump into this next our next topic, which is the Trendly Weekly topic, which I think is much needed because we're talking about these going to school. I've seen some women wear this heading and dropping their children off to class, and I don't know where this culture is coming from, but it's starting to get a little out of hand. So this is AD. If you don't know who AD is, they have a show called Love is Blind, and she got publicly embarrassed because she was up on the podium. At the end when they get to marry, they come to the altar and they see if they want to marry the person or they don't want to marry the person. And the guy she was with end up bringing her to the podium up there, holding hands, thinking that they were going to get married. And he said, nah, I don't want to do it. I'm not ready. And she was publicly embarrassed about it. And then the reunion show, she comes on the reunion show with the dress like this. And this is the dress from another angle. And you can basically, there's no way that I should see your tits with nipple rings through your dress. And this is the show, this is one of the largest platforms because the regular show brings in numbers, but a lot of times people watch the reunion show because they don't want to go through the whole scenario of the whole show. So they'll come and watch the reunion show to see what is really going on or what was the final thing that happened. This is where the juiciest gossips come and everything. And instead of you, and I made a post about this, instead of you taking this time to go out there and present yourself in the best way possible, because you actually had the upper hand, even though he embarrassed you, you were more of the more decent person in that interaction that y'all was going through. You had less things about you to work on. You still have some things to work on about you, but the guy you were dealing with was a complete typical dude who was just manipulative and taking advantage of what the situation was. And he just kept playing you on national TV. The dude had a lot of issues going on, but instead you could have recuperated from that took the sympathy that a lot of people out there saw for you, also the men out there that were looking at you that said, you know what, she's a dope woman. That dude, that's his loss. Let me go out here and see if I could shoot my shot. Now, instead of a guy wanting to shoot his shot, he's like, yo, what, I see why the dude don't want to marry you because you come up here with a dress like that. So you should have turned that around, came out with a nice, elegant dress, came out real sophisticated, talking the talk, saying, hey, I forgive him for what he did. We move on. And I'm just out here ready for the guy that wants to love me and everything I bring to the table. Man, your value, your market value would have shot through the roof. You would have had guys calling you left and right to see what's up, to shoot their shot. Instead, you turned it right around to wear a dress like this to prove to the guy who disrespected you on national TV that he missed out, and this is what you missed out on. And I've talked about, women that do that have been humiliated by guys, have been rejected by guys, and want to prove to that guy that he missed out. And in reality, he don't care if he missed out or not. He just never wanted you in the first place. So I wanted to show that, and I wanted to show this because Ashanti has been with what's his name?
Nelly.
And they've been going and doing their thing, and now she's come out like this on the runway, and I'm like, come on, man, where's the class? Where's the decorum? You're dealing with a dude now. He never wanted to have a baby with you or marry you, and now y'all back together and you're doing this foolishness now. It's like, when does this stop? And I'll land my plane on that, man. And then to Sierra, I didn't get the Sierra joint, but I know Major, you posted up on the Sierra, so I know you want to speak on that as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just a race to the bottom, where you have this common thread of these women that basically what it really is they've gone this long in their life without any structure, without any guidance, without any leadership. And this is the end result. You know what I'm saying? I do what I want to do. I do what I want to do. And when you have that flaw, because it is a tragic flaw, when you feel like you can just do what you want to do all the time, you end up doing things that you shouldn't do. You end up doing things that are just unwise, and becoming a part of this culture where it's cool for a woman to carry herself like garbage. That's fly now. You know what I'm saying? And it's truly sad and disappointing to watch, the decline of, young women as a group, namely young Black women, and look, I love sisters, not, taking a shot at Black women. However, this is a behavior that I'm noticing that is becoming normalized among Black women. It doesn't have to be all of them in order for it to be a problem. Hell, all the Germans weren't Nazis. It was enough of them that were Nazis for it to be a problem. That's the point. Because that's the argument that people are going, well, it ain't all of them. Shut up. Just shut up. You know what I'm saying? You see, like I see, how different this is. I had a few women that were triggered this week on the post that I made about Sierra. Why are you talking about it? She happy as she with her husband. And shut up. Just shut up. What are you talking about? And I said to one of them, because she's like, why it's a problem? She with her husband, da-da-da-da. And I explained to her, because this is what I'm starting to do, especially with some of these old birds. This is what I'm starting to do. You know why it's a problem? It's a problem for the same reason that it was a problem when you were a child. Yeah. That's why it's a problem, because that your mama taught you better than that. Your mama see you wearing some shit like that, they tell you to take your ass in the house and put on some clothes. It's no different now. Just because white feminists put this battery in your back and told you it was cool and told you it was empowering and your dumb ass bought it doesn't mean anything. It's still the same thing. It's still the same trash. You're still over-sexualizing yourself. My bad. I thought that women went through a whole women's suffrage movement so that they could get respect and not be sexually objectified. Then you go out here and sexually objectify yourself like a dumbass. And then when somebody calls you out on it, they're wrong. It makes no sense. I'm extremely disappointed in Ashanti, because Ashanti don't have to do this. Ashanti is a legend. You understand what I'm saying? And she's out here trying to compete with women half her age for what? It ain't there no more, shorty. It just ain't. When you talking about this woman, she showed exactly why that man didn't want to marry her. And that's another thing. I was talking to my wife about this a couple weeks ago. Again, going back to the K. Michelle conversation. We were watching an interview with K. Michelle, and she's talking, and she's making all kinds of sense, and she's making all kind of points. And then somewhere in the middle of the interview, she just devolved into this degenerate idiot. You understand what I'm saying? And that is way too common among modern women. You're smart in some things, but the minute it comes to dealing with men, a lot of them, their whole brain just falls out of their head. That has to change. You understand what I'm saying? This girl, she's listening to a lot of these other birds out here. They're telling her that is the way to make him feel like he's missing out on something. They show up there half naked and, all the men are salivating over you, whatever. It's absolutely not. She made a fool of herself. You understand? And she validated his choice at the end of the day. And Ashanti, unfortunately, because I was one of those people that's like, Nelly, stop playing with this woman. Marry her, put a ring on it. You back with her now, you still haven't married her. Now, she done waited till she's in her 40s to become a single mother. You could have did that 10 years ago. Damn. It don't make no sense. Really? Is that what we're doing? So unfortunately, in this weird way, she kind of validated why he never wanted to put a ring on it. Women, you have to have standards. I'm going to say that again. Ladies, you're going to have some standards in order to get what it is that you want. You're going to have to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, ain't no babies coming up out of here without a ring, period. When was the last time you met a woman who said that? Lucky me, my wife. You understand what I'm saying? But, I didn't even have to. She just kind of exuded that from jump. I knew it. That's a keeper. That's the kind of woman you want to put a ring on it. You know what I'm saying? Because she's telling you without telling you, hey, man, I'm not that kind of girl. You dig? That's what men are going to wife and take seriously. Men will spit at you and tell you all kind of lies all day so they can fuck you. That ain't nothing new.
Yeah.
You understand? They'll do that all the time. You want a man that's going to invest in you, and you have to make yourselves worthy of investing in, ladies, and that begins with standards. All this hood rat shit where the bare minimum is acceptable, because women, they love to tell this lie. That bird, Ebony K. Williams, came on some show talking about how, black women are expected to take the bare minimum, and all the birds reposted it.
Yeah.
Always.
Accepting the bare minimum, and they're talking about money. Let's get it straight. They're only talking about money. But when it comes to who you'll put your legs up for and have a baby for out of wedlock, oh well, there aren't really any standards when it comes to that. We can kind of get past that. That's bullshit. It should be the other way around. Why are you not requiring the men that you get with to have character? You'll throw your legs up and have a baby for anybody.
Correct.
Make it make sense. And then the next man who comes along, after you had your babies and all this type of stuff, no, he has to be top of the line. He has to be a high value man. This ain't a goddamn Tyler Perry movie. And no man has to save you from the era of your fucked up decisions. And I'll land my plane.
And I just want to say, listen, y'all start giving Kevin Samuels his props, because I just seen a clip from Kendra G the other day, and she went ham on this woman that was on her page, who was this Puerto Rican chick that had 3 children, and then she talked about how she want a guy that's 6 foot and make over 100K to take care of her and the 3 children, and she's on food stamps and she don't want to work. And so Kendra was like, "Hey, what happened to the other guys?" You know, she was like, "Well, they not in the picture no more." And she's like, "Okay, so if they're not in the picture no more, why do you think that somebody who's making that type of money is going to step up and take care of you and your 2 children, and you don't have much to offer?" The girl is built like Java the Hutt. She's laying in the bed like Java the Hutt. You know what I'm saying? And I land my plane on that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You dig? Yes. Give that man his props. Kevin Samuels was everything because he really brought this conversation to the forefront. You're right. Give that man his props. Real talk. What you got, Bobby?
Man, I don't know what the point of that whole Hollywood writers strike was, because in a lot of cases the jokes just write the damn selves. Don't need Chat GPT and AI. Don't need no Hollywood writers. Sometimes you just need to sit there and let life write the jokes because
we
they're
got
funny.
Material. Yes,
they're funny. They're not funny, but they're funny.
Hilarious. Yes.
Look, man. The art of hustling backwards is very much a thing.
Yeah.
And we have some master class hustlers out there that are completely in reverse.
Yeah.
What I will say, and this will be my only knock on those situations, is men. As per usual, I gotta tug our chain. I gotta put the Sandman cane and yank us back in line.
Yeah.
When you see these women that are not wife material, you know they're not wife material. Yes. Continue to not give them that ring. Continue to not wife them. Continue to not lock them down in that fashion. Absolutely. Do not reward bad behavior, because then they go and turn around and do exactly what this woman saying. Well, Ashanti man like you. What's their prep? Well, Sierra man like it. What's the problem? Understand, when these women have a man on their arm, all you are doing is validating and justifying them. They're saying that there's absolutely nothing to stop them from getting what they want. Now, they haven't made the ultimate goal. They haven't made it down the aisle. But just having a man there as a male voucher sends a signal, and it's right. You are ensuring these women are not going to have lonely beds. However, from a greater societal perspective, that does not help the community, because we need these women to remain single as hell and childless as hell on top of that, to send the message that we do not want to build with this.
Real talk.
If this, and I keep maintaining this, you can say all you want to about how marriage is for everybody, everyone doesn't desire marriage. Cool. I respect that. I understand that. And I agree with that. However, do not be giving these women out here the consequences of these committed relationships like that. If you know damn well you had no intention of marrying her, or marriage isn't your thing, don't give her no child.
Truth.
Do not go ahead and get no long-term committed relationship, because what you're doing is you're confusing these women. I've said before, and this is one of the hills that I'm willing to die on. I already got my gravestone picked out. I already got the first and last month and the security deposit down on a nice mausoleum. I already got my casket suit ready and everything. I'm good. I live a long life. I'll be buried there. Women, on average, the majority, I will say, in fact, the vast majority of women, I'll take it to that level. The vast majority of women do not have the means by which to differentiate types of attention.
Yeah.
The same attention a woman will get for dropping her nude pics on Twitter or on the internet, the same attention that she'll get for flashing her cleavage on social media, the same attention that she'll get for posting about completing her graduate degree, or for starting her own business, or for getting promoted to CEO, all of these different types of attention. Women process them all the same exact way. Now, there might be some attention that they prioritize over others, but overall, as long as it's a like, a heart, and applause, they really can't care too much how it comes in. In fact, I would say that when they start prioritizing which attention they value more or start screening out certain attention, typically it's from a place of abundance. They're getting from multiple different sources, and so they can afford to be a bit more discriminating and picky about it. But just like with children in school, when you can't get attention for getting good grades, when you can't get attention for getting it the right way, you're going to seek out attention from getting it the poor way, because the worst thing is not getting negative attention. The worst thing is getting no attention at all. The worst thing is getting treated as if he doesn't exist. And I meant to share this with you guys earlier. It was a busy week for me, but I saw a tweet, an older tweet from a person. And if you see the name, it's funny because we talked about this person before. But this woman shared how she felt terrible because apparently she used to be very obese, very overweight, and she lost weight. And then according to her, she had this whole pseudo meltdown about how losing that weight confirmed her biggest fears for her, because she started getting attention that she didn't get when she was that size, where according to her, she wasn't being treated like a human being beforehand, but now that she's lost this weight, now all of a sudden people are treating her like she's a human being and has worth and value, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Nonsense like that. However, she's still out here posting for attention, though.
Of course.
She's so devastated that she's now finally being treated like a human being. But guess who's right here, wolfing up attention?
Right.
Like it's going out of style.
They love to talk out of both sides of their mouth. They really do.
So again, they can't differentiate it. As long as it's coming in. What was it Drake said? As long as the outcome is income, it's all the same for them. So we cannot be the ones. Yes, they're responsible for what they're doing, but we cannot be the ones putting a battery in their back.
Right.
When we see these types, it's not enough to just say, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to marry that, or I'm going to wait to see if something changes. Completely withdraw. There are sisters out there that are where they need to be. Go ahead and give them that attention. Go ahead and pour into them. Leave these other ones to the curb. They'll either get right or get left. And either option is good.
There you go. Real ass talk. And that has to be the standard.
Exactly. Well, it was a great show tonight, boy. Oh man, this was super dope tonight, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate my hosts out here joining in and definitely chiming in, giving great advice. And definitely to our guest, TANESHA Rose, for enlightening us on so much of why it's so important to breathe life into these young children and the important work that she does in the process as well. You know what I'm saying? But we definitely are going to get into our last topic of the night, which is the crown check. All right. So our crown check for tonight is definitely this queen here, and her name is Daisy Bates. Daisy Bates was a civil rights activist, publisher, journalist, lecturer who played a leading role in the Little Rock integration crisis of 1957. And you don't know about that. That was Bates and her husband were very important figures in the African-American community in the capital city of Little Rock. They published a local Black newspaper, the Arkansas State Press, which publicized violations of the Supreme Court's desegregation rulings. The plan of desegregating the schools of Little Rock was to be implemented in 3 phases, starting first with the senior and junior high schools, and then only after the successful integration of the senior and junior high schools would be elementary schools be integrated. After 2 years and still no progress, a suit was filed against the Little Rock School District in 1956. The court ordered the school board to integrate the schools as September 1957. The battle of the soul of Little Rock had indeed begun, and the Bates entered vigorously. And shout out to her and her husband for, you know, basically protecting our children and making sure that they weren't doing and giving treating our children unjustly and fighting for the education of our children as well.
That's
So
a big
definitely shout out to her. Right on point with today's superb guests as educators that fight for the community, bring life into the community, and definitely are pioneers and will never be forgotten. And I land my plane on that and turn it over to you guys.
Yeah, bruh, today's show was powerful, man. Shout out to that sister. She came through and she dropped some real gems. And you know, I want to thank her again for her service and others that are moving in that way, are moving in that manner. You know, teachers, educators, babysitters. Some people call them babysitters. She doesn't refer to herself as a babysitter. That's what stood out to me first. That was the first thing she said. And I thought that was really important because she does so much more, you know. And when people start seeing themselves in a bigger light, you know, whereas they are contributors, they are active contributors to what is going on in society, that changes things. People always talk about, oh, what's the change? What's the solution? You are the change. You are the solution. That's just what it is. You know, one person, that one woman, the way that she talks and the way that she speaks about how she's interacted with her children and the parents and so forth and so on, I'm sure that there's all types of change that she's made that she's not even knowledgeable of. You understand? And that's where we all need to be. You know, the teachers need to be that way. The garbage men need to be that way. The judges sure as hell need to be that way. The police officers, the brothers who do what we do, the podcasters need to be that way. And if we all start to chip in a little more and take our roles more seriously and make sure that we're planting seeds and we're practicing what we preach, we're walking the walk instead of just talking the talk. That is how we see the change that we want to implement, you know. So I think today was critical, you know, and something that we've needed to talk about for quite some time because the kids need it. You know what I'm saying? And when you start helping the kids inadvertently, you're helping the parents and the community. Because you know, if you got a house full of baby kids and they're not learning and they're not doing right or whatever the case may be, you can't really blame the kids.
Yeah.
You dig? What are these adults instilling in those kids?
Yeah.
That's what it's about, because they're still kids at the end of the day. So
Yes.
shout out to that sister and the others who do this important work for doing this important work. This was a big one. Respect.
Exactly.
All the respect.
And I want people to know that, remember, don't forget, she's 20, that's 26 years of marriage that she's in. So you got to understand, she's leading by example. So it's just like, hey, everything she says she's doing, you know what I'm saying? So
And I
definitely,
suspect it has a lot to do with it.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. All right, Drake, that's on you. Take us out.
Look, the three cornerstones of society. We're talking about the foundations that instill learning, wisdom, character, virtues, etc., that are responsible for elevating each individual person, and as a result, the society at large, are the school, the church or the place of spiritual development, and the home. These are the three pillars that are responsible for developing, shaping, and molding people. You get the first bit of education and the in-home constant reinforcement from the home. You have the structure and you have the development from the school. And then you have the spiritual aspect from whatever the place of worship or the place of spiritual enlightenment is that you attend. All three pillars are necessary for producing a healthy, functional, whole person. Now, this isn't to say that you cannot become that later on, but like anything else, if you have gaps, you need to fill the gaps in.
Yeah.
We need, as people, we need to have the structure that comes from a solid home life. We need the structure that comes from school. We need the structure that comes from your place of worship. These are the different elements that make us up and give us grounding, that give us that platform that we build on. everything that we do going forward, no matter how high up we get or how low we get, our foundation is going to play a huge role in that. Unfortunately, we've seen now over the decades that every last one of these pillars has come under attack. The home is in shambles. The educational system is in shambles. The attack on the place of worship and spirituality, that's in shambles. More than ever, we have to make sure that we are doing what we can to minimize the damage that we have going on. Now, there's not a lot that we can do to really control what's happening in the schools because there's policy involved, there's legal aspects. As a person, as a family, as parents, you do not control the schools, unfortunately. You may not have a say in what's going on in the spiritual realm about how people are perceiving the churches or the mosque or the temple or the synagogues, what have you. There might be issues that they're having because these are man-run organizations as well too. So as long as you have people in the picture, there's going to be problems that come with that as well too. The only thing that you can control is the home. And ultimately, no matter what these other places outside the household are doing, all they're really doing is supplementing. The foundation of the bottom of this pyramid is really an upside down pyramid if you want to think of it that way. The foundation of those other places is the home, because it doesn't matter if you're getting all manner of positive, solid instruction and reinforcement coming from your church. It doesn't matter if you're having top-notch education taking place at schools. If the home life is not providing that balance, that foundation, there's only so much they can do. Like Ms. Tanesha said, at max, she has 10 hours a day with your children, and that's a lot of time.
It's a lot.
But, you know, when the children go home, the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, 48 hours where they're not under her watch, they're not under care. If you're undoing and sabotaging all the good stuff that she's done throughout the week, you're hobbling her. When you're not taking it upon yourselves to take your education of your children seriously, when you're not being involved and invested, when you have other things to do, it doesn't matter how good the instruction is. And unfortunately, every single teacher is not as capable and qualified as Tanesha is. A lot of them do their best. There are some that, as I mentioned, they just show up to collect the check. I've seen those teachers, those educators. So you can't be burning the candle in multiple ends. You gotta pick a struggle, man. And then these teachers already don't get compensated enough. They don't get enough support. It takes a lot as a teacher, if you've been in the classroom for several years, to show up every day and still give a damn and still be that invested. At that point, you're not doing it for the pay, you're not doing it for the benefits, you're doing it because you care about the children that come under your care. You are concerned about the quality of the future, and you're doing your part to crank out the best people, the best human beings that you can. Parents, anyone listening to this right now, if you can honestly look in yourself and say, you know what, I haven't been doing everything that I can do, or maybe I've been doing a good job, but there's the room for improvement, do it. Up the enthusiasm. Start going to these parent-teacher conferences. Start getting to know your children's teachers, the administration. Let them know that you're there. How can I assist? What do I need to be doing? Take an active part in your children's leadership, in their education. I can say from being in the classroom, any student that I've had, that I've seen, that I've worked with, I can almost tell exactly what their home life is like based on how they're on that classroom. Any student I've had that was with it, that was smart, that was on top of it and focused, 9 times out of 10, when you find out, well, who's at home, you know, mommy, daddy there, what do they do? Once you start finding out these details, it's like, okay, it makes sense. And sure enough, in most cases, when you have the children that have those problems, especially the disciplinary issues, when you find out who's at home as well, again, it makes sense. What is being done at home makes all of the difference. and it guarantees that your child has the best shot at success and being something and making something of themselves, and ultimately being a benefit and a blessing to society and not a curse to society. Make sure, as always, to like, share, subscribe, tell somebody to tell somebody about these somebodies. We do this every week around this time, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you go ahead, if you're not already subscribed, follow Manifestations 2020. Can't wait to see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Definitely. With that being said, see y'all next week for another dope episode. Peace out, family.
All right.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter. Make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage, we are. This is Manifestations 2020.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.